Thornhill.
Massive lineups at airport security, passengers being held on the tarmac, missed connections, costly delays, outdated COVID testing, and many Canadians still can't even travel. Canada's airports are getting a reputation, and it's not a good one. The reason, according to the minister, Canadians have forgotten how to travel and they are out of practice.
Unbelievable.
Is the minister going to take responsibility for his government's failure, or will he continue to blame Canadian travellers?
The Honourable Minister of Transport.
Mr. Speaker, it's not a surprise that a Conservative Member of Parliament repackages and misinforms the Canadians about what I said. Having said that, it is really important today to acknowledge the good news. Mr. Speaker, more and more Canadians are travelling, and that's good news. Having said that, we're seeing that the surge for demand to travel is putting a lot of pressure on our airports, on our security system. We are making sure that we increase resources. We're working with airports. We're working with airlines to address this issue. This is a priority, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
And the Oscar goes to the Honourable Member for Peterborough-Kawartha.
Wait times at Pearson International Airport are abysmal, and the Minister of Transport has the audacity to blame travellers. His words, Mr. Speaker, blaming the customer for failed operations is never okay. The rules and restrictions are ridiculous and out of date. The ArriveCan app is a mess, and again, we see zero accountability from the Liberals. Tourism needs to recover for both our economy and our mental health. So my question is, what is the Liberals' plan to manage these out-of-control wait times other than to blame Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Transport.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians, especially those who work in the tourism industry, saw which government stood by them during the difficult period of the pandemic. They saw how the political opposition from the Conservatives were against providing support to those who needed it. Mr. Speaker, we will always be supporting our tourism sector. We're all excited about the traveling season coming up. Canadians are traveling. We are doing everything we can to address these lineups, Mr. Speaker. We are working with airports, we're working with the airline sector, and we're working with CATSA to address these issues. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Mr. Speaker, at the Industry Committee, we heard from small and medium business leaders the impacts government's policies are having on tourism operators' bottom lines. After 2 years of border closures, cycles of lockdowns, labour shortages, and rising inflation, we heard that tourism small businesses are now concerned that things like ArriveCan, immigration inefficiencies, and airport worker shortages will discourage tourists. Why do the Liberals continue to double down on policies and ineffective processes that say to the world, Canada is closed for business?
That's right. Wow.
The Honourable Minister of Tourism.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Let's look at the facts. Only weeks ago, 1 million arrivals in Canada in 1 week. In Budget 22, $20 million to increase Indigenous tourism, $4.8 million for Indigenous Tourism Association of Canada. Canadians are traveling in independent tourism. Numbers are up. Mr. Speaker, Canada's open for business. The Conservatives don't like it, but we sure do.
Order.
Order. I want to be able to hear what's going on here.
The Honourable Member for Madawaska-Restigouche. Mr. Speaker, small and medium-sized businesses in New Brunswick know that our government is protecting them. Last week, I was proud to tell 4 businesses in my riding of Madawaska-Restigouche that we were investing over $1.6 million in projects that are creating local jobs and helping these businesses innovate and grow. Could the Minister responsible for ACOA tell the House more about how our government is supporting the economic recovery in Atlantic Canada and across the country as well? The Honourable Minister for Official Languages in ACOA. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to thank my friend, the member for Madawaska-Restigouche, for having pointed out how our government is creating jobs and supporting growth in New Brunswick. Through the Jobs and Growth Fund, we are investing in businesses that are creating jobs and ensuring that communities like Saint-François de Madawaska and Grand Barachois are included in our economic recovery. We know that these businesses are the backbone of local economies and ACOA, and our government will be there to support them every single step of the way. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Forest Lawn.
Nazifa was a 10-year-old girl whose father worked for the Canadian Armed Forces in Canada.